All right, guys. Good morning. First time I'm doing it on a Tuesday. Again, yesterday I've been doing some legal battles with my town, and now I'm going to the county after this. So apologize for I'm going to miss our meeting yesterday, but hopefully it'll be a one-time thing. So we'll get started again. Broad market outlook. A few notable sectors to go over. First has been we've been talking about the utility sector being the first sector to retest 52-week highs, which is obviously a great sign broadly for us. When we start to see sectors getting close to those highs, and everything often follows suit. But with that being said, we know the retests, we know everything looks beautiful, but that's when we have to start to look to take profits. And utilities so far is showing us exactly that. It retested, it pushed up a few days higher, like we often see at retests, and it loses momentum and it starts to roll over. And these are the easy times for us to take profits on the way down. We look to buy on the way up, as we did up to this 152, and that starts to roll over. That's the time to kind of move on and lighten the load a little bit. Some other sectors, again, energy. Again, I really expected energy to continue to roll over throughout the rest of the year. I was wrong with that. They're breaking back up to this base. Energy looks pretty strong. There's, Chevron and a few other names we'll get into a little bit later, but they're setting up pretty nicely. We have the industrial sector and the Dow. Same thing like utilities. They're running into their major resistance. It looked absolutely perfect after this, insane run. And these are the times we need to take profits. And we tried to highlight that kind of last week. And in this week's newsletter, when we run into these major resistance levels after these major run-ups, you kind of got to take some profits here or raise some stops. So, if you got stopped out under this 186, you call it 20 plus points and very little risk. Couldn't have traded this sector better. And then same with the Dow, the Dow 30, same thing, running this major resistance. Everything looks great up here, but this one you need to start looking to take some profits when everything looks very beautiful. And that's been that overall theme this year. It's been, buying the ugly, selling the pretty, and that's just been the main theme here. That's what we're consistently seeing from these sectors. And then with a lot of the other sectors, and again, I'm not going to go through all of them because it's going to be a broken record, but the main theme with the rest has just been that retest into a prior resistance area and it rolling over, which again, we've seen more times than we can count. It shouldn't be that surprising. And now it's, how far in this range do we pull back? Do we really pull back down to the lows of this range? I don't really think so, but 50% retracement would probably be completely fine. But these are the times when we don't want to be going super hard trying to catch whenever this turn is going to happen. It's never as easy as we think it's going to be. So to give it time to kind of settle out and wait for that pivot to buy back to that prior higher day, it's often way easier. So again, a lot of these sectors are very weak. It's just very risk off kind of across the board. SPY had this major run up into this major resistance area, and now we're rolling over. And where we stop, that's anyone's guess. But for now, kind of foot off the gas pedal seems to be the theme as we kind of pull back in after this nearly 20% runoff lows in the last month. And a lot of these, again, all the same thing, just risk off, let these sectors settle out and set back up, and we'll find the next entry when they present themselves. A few stocks on the radar. I know a lot of people have been watching this BMY, looking very good up through 76. This Dollar Tree has been getting pretty tight here. I know earnings are coming up in 2 days, so we're going to want to wait until after that. I want to keep on the radar. Talk about energy kind of setting up this PSX, this 92 level setting up, and this AWK utilities name, again, probably going to be in a void for a little bit, but eventually through this 160 could be something to keep on the radar. So that's my little 2-minute speech. Heaven, if there's any ideas you want to go over or some member ideas, we can definitely jump into those now.
Yeah, some member ideas. Mike just posted this one this morning. He's looking at TCOM, TCOM, through 27.
Well, TripAdvisor, trip.com.
Yeah.
Little wedge forming earning.
Yeah, the wedge forming had some relative strength yesterday. So it looks pretty good to that 27.
Does have earnings in like a week, so it's probably going to need earnings to push it out of this little wedge if it's going to, but definitely looks, after earnings.
Yeah.
On the radar for sure.
Kushner's got a few he's looking at. AZN, first one, which looks like it. Some of these were from Monday.
Yeah.
But we can kind of see. So AZN, he was looking to buy this one through 67.50 yesterday. And just, it broke that level and then completely reversed, gapping down today. So this is actually a really good example of when you buy a breakout and it ends the day at lows like that and it just failed on day one. You really want to look to get out because high probability that it's going lower from there. I don't know how much lower, but better to just save yourself, get out that same day. And today, you're saving yourself another 1% as it's gapping down. So that's a very good example of that. Even when the stock looks really good, if the breakout fails, just look to get out or at least reduce some risk.
Definitely agree.
ACHC is his next one that he's looking at. I had this one on my list as well. So we were actually, you have it drawn out from a few weeks back in July, had a nice breakout to that level, and it's finally now digesting that breakout. Looks pretty solid with this flag at highs through that 83 area. And yeah, the retest of all-time highs there. So I mean, I think that it could definitely use more consolidation just because that big level right there.
Mhm.
A lot of people probably selling that retest. But either a break through it and then using that resistance as support would be a really nice entry. But yeah, you have to keep in mind that 85 is going to be probably a big resistance level for the name. But once you can get above that, blue skies.
Yeah, looks good. Looks very good for sure.
Yeah. Next one, you guys, ARGX.
ARGX. Gosh, it never got past the A's this week.
So this one was another failed breakout, which is, gapping down today. So another perfect example of that, one that you definitely want to be taking profits day one, but it's obviously much easier to say that now after it happened. But another thing, the psychological 400 level too. So it reached that psychological 400 and sold off really hard. So that's another perfect example of those psych numbers where, if you're in this trade, you're buying the breakout, you should look to take at least a little bit off at that psych 400 just because it's that whole number. Next one he was looking at was the CYTK. I know a lot of people were watching this one yesterday. It failed hard, trapped a lot of people, just barely broke over that 5160 area, and then sold off really hard.
Yeah.
Now, the other lesson, it seems like you can get a lesson in all of these, is if you look at the high a day on CYTK, it was 51.99. So if you have your entries above the whole figure, as you should, is 52.05, 52.01, you avoid this trade completely and you don't get stuck in this. Again, it's hindsight bias, but if you stick to that rule, you'll see it happens often that it goes to that 0.99 or 0.95 and then it sells off. So that's why we want to keep our entries above the whole figure.
Definitely agree.
Oscar's got a couple here. He's looking at TRGP.
TRGP.
Yeah, through 70.50.
Talking about before, pretty strong. Again, this looks phenomenal. We can see this like clear level resistance. This is when the name got smoked earlier in June. It's worked its way back higher. It's 1, 2, 3 attempts here. Relatively tight risk. And again, up through this 70 looks very. This is, easily one where if you're going to get it through 70, you're definitely going to want to hold probably to at least 80. But this looks, very good.
Yeah, I love how it made a higher pivot low yesterday. We'll see if it can hold that. Still sitting above its moving average. He was looking at that one yesterday, I guess, with that inside day on Friday, just to kind of break through that. But I think the more consolidation here, the better. Just putting in higher lows, and you get a very strong support level. Next one he's looking at is OVV.
OVV.
Yeah, OVV.
These guys look
set up there.
Another oil energy name through what, 52?
He has it through 50.5. So he was looking again through the break of like that inside day on Friday. But I think 52 is probably the spot you want to look to buy it.
Yeah.
Looks like it's gapping up today. You do have to give it to 47.50. So you're almost risking $5 on it, which is a little wide for a $50 name. But I mean, it's there. If you just want to trade it light, or even I would almost look to buy this off support if it doesn't break today. Try to get it on a bounce.
Yeah. I think this TRGP, I think, is like this 70 is like way more defined of a lot. So they both look very good. It's just this one, it's like it's already above for that entry anyways, but 51, 52. Well, again, both, and he's looking in the right space, so it's
Yeah.
on the right one.
Yeah, and then his last one, which is also oil and gas, is SM Energy through that 44 level.
Yeah,
it's gapping right above it today.
Yeah, definitely right space so far. I think that TRGP probably is the best among the three, but they're all definitely the space you want to be looking at for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Chris is looking at DG for support buy. Yeah, I mean, don't try to catch a falling knife. This thing has gone straight down the last 2 days. So what you want to look for today is you want to see it hold this support and then tomorrow look to buy. But it has earnings in 2 days anyway, so I would just avoid this one for now.
Yeah, this is probably these are when it's right here, it's probably going to smoke this. Like people want that to hold, and it's like that's not going to hold.
Yeah, or it's like you say, it's if you're trying to get that perfect support buy, it's very unlikely that you get it. Like you'll either get shaken out or it's going to dump on you. So you might as well just wait to confirm that it's actually support and then look to buy on the way up. But again, earnings in 2 days, I would just wait until after and see what happens after that. But I'm definitely watching this DG. I would love to buy this through 260 in time. So we'll see how it does in 2 days with earnings. I mean, that's if it has good earnings and it can break through resistance on that third attempt, that's a solid setup. Next one, Dorian is looking at CALX.
CALX.
C is in cat. Through 58 versus 56.
All right, so we got a telecom name. Telecom pretty banged up. This is CALX. Right?
Yep.
So relatively strong compared to the sector it's in. Big base, performing pretty much all year. Got smoked earlier in the year. It's been sitting up under 60. I mean, up through 60 in time. It's already up 100%, and that's the crappy part is like how much we expect out of this name. But on the flip side of that is one of the names. Let me just add this on here. One of the names from last week that one of the members called out was PGR. And we were talking about how he wanted to buy, and I forget who it was, wanted to buy it up here. And I said, way too late. And obviously, it's still wet. Now, granted, probably tomorrow, the next day, it's going to be back at this price anyways. But even though it was very late, it still had some upside. So again, this up 100%, it's tough to expect it to go, straight back up to 80. But if it can consolidate here for a little bit longer, and maybe there is something there. Maybe there's a reason why this thing is up 100% in a month. And,
moving on, Abby's got a bunch on her list. We already went over DLTR, I think. You went over that one earlier. So we'll do AMGN through 252. Yeah, I mean, in time, looks good. It looks like 253 is more of the level than 252. But yeah, I mean, kind of just sitting in this range still. I think it needs to develop a little bit more.
Yeah, so again, obviously how it closed pre-market, it's down. It's probably going to push into this range. This is probably a name that you can find up off of support when it
agree.
240 or however low it's going to go. You can find that entry versus like buying immediately back up above this high day when that's probably not going to be the case right now. Like this eventually goes through that level, but for now you probably can find some type of support buyback in this, in a couple of days or a week or so.
Yeah, it's been putting in higher lows all year. If you kind of zoom out and you form like a support trend line just from the lows all the way up, you can see those higher lows. So that's kind of like off that green line that you just drew is kind of where I would be looking to buy it, or at least either that or through resistance when it actually fills out the rest of that inflection point. I think it looks pretty good in time. Next one is PXD through 245. Again, this was for Monday. So it looks like today it's gapping up to 248.
Yeah, all these old names really surprisingly starting to wake back up. So
yeah,
a place to keep a close eye on if you can find, the right entry in them for sure.
Mhm. Next one's STZ Constellation Brands. She was looking to buy this one through was that 160? So I had a really, was it? No, I'm sorry, 252. So I had a really nice breakout yesterday and gapping up to yesterday's highs. So that was a nice one. I hope Abby got that one.
Nice. So,
Um,
number ideas, or should we go over some of these lessons from last week?
let's go over some lessons.
All right. So again, that PGR we kind of went over. Again, it was very extended, but it did still have some legs in it. Again, it's probably going to come back to that price anyways. This SNA does it trade higher than that 220. This is another one where like a week or two ago we were talking about this like 225 trade, reverse 220, and it was kind of like that 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 trade here, and we're seeing that we're talking about the retest earlier before it looked absolutely perfect this day after that run up, and that was the high, and now it's starting to reverse. So that's just that overall theme. I don't know how much more I can hammer it in. When it looks perfect at that retest, it's often so much easier just to take those profits. Disney, last week, someone wanted to buy it this day, and it was like, does it run after earnings? And we were saying more likely probably is going to fade into the gap, which it has started to do. And this is a perfect example of when we try to rush into these names. This, eventually in time, we'll probably be buying this 126 in Disney, but that will probably be,
Next earnings.
in a few months. Like I try to put these arrows like not arbitrarily, like just in the amount of time it's probably going to take to develop to retest this area and retest it again before it's really ready. And sometimes we just want them to go too soon. And this is one where like eventually after 125, this is going to be an amazing trade, but 2 days after earnings, 3 days after earnings, it just just not really ready yet. And then lastly, for lessons learned from last week was this FNA. And it was just why we kind of hate these cheaper names. Again, this was a nice entry through this 20, but you don't really get the upside. You get $1 upside, but you got, $2.50, $3 the downside. This is why we try to avoid these sub $30 names as much as we can, because the real upside often really isn't there unless you catch absolutely perfect like this one time. And we know for how difficult trading is that, we often catch it this time and it goes, a buck and comes right back. So again, this one's still eventually, again, recent IPO, we can find a tighter entry into 20 for sure. But when you had a risk, 20% off the bat, oftentimes it's just going to be a pass. So those were just some of those notable ones from last week. And if there's any last ideas, we can definitely go over them now.
Yeah, Kush actually, he posted one this morning, a recent IPO as well, EMBC.
EMBC.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, just for how smoke this stock was, and this had to have been, I don't have the volume on here, but had to have been like a joke of trading. Like this looks like there wasn't even trading this day. That would be a big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely can see this base, but this is kind of just like a big bear flag. This is definitely not a really good pattern. We want to, again, the base is great. There was just this base, but the stock has gotten smoked. This is probably going to be an avoid. Again, I don't know the volume this thing is done, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's really weird actually. It looks so the first couple of days, like from the 22nd of March all the way to the 31st, it only traded like a couple thousand shares.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden on April 1st, it had almost 23 million in shares traded.
Yeah, so that's something where it's a big red flag. Girl's married and now she's single. It's find someone else. Okay.
Pretty much everyone.
We wrapped up again in a few weeks. We'll probably be doing these completely on Discord going forward. Should be way easier not to sign up or click on any links. If you haven't already, download Discord. Make sure you make your username your actual name. So when we do make this transition in a few weeks, it's very easy to move everyone over into the correct groups. And hopefully it'll be a very seamless transition when we do that.
Yep.
All right, guys. You guys have a good day. Post your top ideas in the chat and talk to you guys very soon.
See ya. Good luck with the county.
I'm ready.
Benji for president.